Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. This is our next episode of the Behavioral Change, Peace Building and Security Development. And I'm your host, Basra Ali. Today we are going to talk about the 16 days of gender-based activism. 16 days of activism. It's a UN-recognized day, and it happens every November. And it's also part of the ongoing celebration for the between November and December for ending of the universal violence against women. And there's no better day to discuss than today. So in our last episode, we were discussing about women and how they can protect themselves in the workplace, in their social environments, and even in their homes. And today we just want to see what are the key implementation strategies that as a country we can actually implement. And I will do 5 of the things that I think can help us as a nation and as a country to actually overcome gender-based violence and femicide in particular. One of it could be, one of the main out of the 5 key elements that I have picked out for discussion is what can the government help us to do? The best thing that the government and the security agents can do is to establish a toll number, a free toll number, which is known to everybody and which is put in all the billboards around and is actually used by all the NGOs, churches, religious organizations, mosques, and other places. So that if anybody feels distressed, whether it's a mother, a girl, a school child, there's a number that they can actually call, and the number is received by anybody. Because this is a security concern. We are saying if the mothers, the daughters, the sisters, the aunties, the sister-in-laws, and our relations are not safe, then everybody else is not safe. An injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere. If I'm not safe, the rest of the country is not safe. If one of us is not safe, all of us are not safe. So we are saying for women, what can the government do? And one of the key elements, one of the key strategies that I think can work is to have a toll number, which is put as a security toll number, where our young girls, our women, our mothers, and then the international agencies and NGOs and CBOs and local organizations and all the smallest unit, including the village committees and the nyumba kumis, can also have those numbers so that whenever there is an issue, the women can raise or the women can have a number which is direct and it is toll-free. When you call a toll number, it should not be chargeable. Somebody will just pick their phone and call either 000-999, and it is a number that somebody cannot charge. If it is there, then it is not known. If actually that number exists in Kenya, it is not known. And one of the issues should be to sensitize the communities through religious organizations, international NGOs, the government itself, and all other agencies, so that it's a multi-agency kind of a process. So that somebody can just raise and say, this is an issue, I am going through this, I was going out for a date, I have been lured, or I might drink, or even a friend can call somebody. I think that's not something that is really, really out of place. It's happening in other parts of the world. It should happen in this country. Having a toll number that is free of charge, and somebody can call and actually get help. The next thing is actually to have a release of all the cases every month, for example, so that it is not something that we wait until an incident happens, then we come out and say this is what we are supposed to do. Every month, all the government agencies in a multi-sectoral kind of a network should be able to know how many cases were reported, how many were gender-based, what were the key issues, what were the strategies that were taken, how many, so that we have a report. People are aware that there's something that the government is doing. Instead of waiting until the issue is out of hand, then we are not able to know. So we have talked about one, the toll number, which is free and it is known. So sensitization has to take place with all the international agencies, up to the grassroots level, at the sub-counties level. And then secondly, is also to ensure that we have a monthly report which is given in all the counties, and then a national one is given at the county level until the situation is stabilized. And then it becomes now a situation that we can report every end of the 6 months or end of every quarter, and then yearly until the issue is stabilized. Number 3, one of the key strategies is also to do a sensitization so that international organizations, NGOs, and even the government does not only focus on women organization. For example, our country has had a strategy where, all women issues go to FIDA, or it goes to CRU, which is the Women Gender-Based Violence Arm, or it goes to the Nairobi Women Hospital. This should be a national issue so that every father, every husband, every daughter, every husband, every father, every brother, every gender, the other gender is aware. And then also sensitizing and empowering the other gender, so that it's not only the women. When the women are empowered, they have businesses, then they even become a target, because now the other person is not empowered. They have been left behind. There's a lot of boy-child in drugs, in Mira, in Pombe, and all those kind of things. So empowering the boy-child so that he's at the same level with the girl. And then empowering the rest of the community, like the fathers who are concerned, like the husbands, so that every husband, when they're at work, they know that their children, their mothers, and their wives are safe back at home. So reporting all those incidences, and that just being aware, because sometimes people are busy with their own daily life that they are not really aware of what is going on around them. So if these men and women are sensitized in mosques, in churches, in all the religious institutions, by the government and also by the international agencies, then people will be alert. And even when the next gender is having a drink there and they realize there is a girl who is either being abused or something is happening, they will be able to call at all and say, I'm in such and such a restaurant, in such and such a place. I think there is a girl who is being molested. Otherwise, you will have all these things going round and the circle continues, and we don't have anything to do about that. So as Muslim women, I think the third thing is about us is just really to struggle to do our religion. And to actually do our religion, we need to follow the simple rules that we have been told, have our hijab, whether you are at work, whether you are in other places, and really just being on top of things. We might not be able to do all the things, but we should struggle and strive to be there. Sometimes, even from our own religion, we are told not to travel on your own. We travel left, right, and center, east, west, and north. But by minimizing, and the Prophet also said it will reach a time when the Muslim women will be traveling on their own, and it has been anticipated in the Quran. But what do? You go to a forum, you find places where other Muslims are praying. You find places where like for example, we are in an international forum sometimes. You go to an international conference that is taking place in Sweden or in Denmark, and have been in those kind of situations. What do? You look for the West Africans, you look for the people from your hometown, you identify if there are Muslims around you, you ask if there is a prayer place, if there is Friday prayer that people are going to do jointly, so that other people are aware. You are a human being, you never know if that will be your last time, your last breath. So if there are people aware around you, it has a lot of advantages than disadvantages. Lakini ukijificha tu, you're like, me, because I'm in an international forum, I mean, those kind of things. Then if you are caught, even by death, or by violence, or by any other things, nobody's aware about where you are. So for women, for Muslim women, I think it's not easy, but let's continue striving and struggling. It's not easy, it's a test that we should be able to have our proper hijab. And we should pray for each other. We should put dua for each other. It is easier said than done. I start with my own self, and I also share with you. But now, if you cannot be recognized as a Muslim, you are in an international forum, you are in an international country, you are on the other side of the planet, you've traveled all alone, maybe with your workmates, but there are no other, you have not identified who else is with you in that forum. So we've talked of the two strategies. The first strategy we have talked about is the toll number, which is free and which can be accessible, and which is actually effective. You just don't have a toll number. When somebody calls, it tells you, wait on the line. It has been done in other parts of the world. Let's do it in this country. A toll number that is known by everybody. Strategy number 2, we have talked about mobilization and sensitization, and actually reaching out, having an outreach program to fathers, to husbands, to the other gender, so that it is not only one gender which is actually fighting this gender-based violence and femicide and all that, so that it is a holistic approach of a community, a home that is all working together. So I hope we have understood each other. So that is point number 2. Point number 3 is actually training, retraining, and remodernizing our security forces and the police stations where women report this kind of matters. So you don't only go there and train a few female and put a desk there. You should actually have an ongoing, advanced kind of a program that is actually can be like 5 years or even 3 years program, where we have all the officers in that area being sensitive, so that even this police officer is told, today if it happens to another family, tomorrow it might be your own family. So actually sensitizing the whole police station and actually preparing a program or a facilitation point, a training of trainers, so that if you have trained one police officers, then they should be able to train the others, so that we have a modern place where women and girls and other people can feel safe to go to when they are violated, so that somebody does not say, now kienda huko unakuta mwenye aliiba gari, mwenye alipiga mtu, mwenye aliua. So even that case of yours becomes minimal to them. So it should be very sensitive, and actually it should start from even verbal, that mama ama msichana akikuja hapo akisema mtu fulani amenitukana kwa social media ama amenitukana nikiwa mahali, it is taken with all the seriousness that it deserves, so that we don't have to wait for it to blast out and to get out of proportion, and actually for us to really engage our whole security team on an issue that would have been solved a long time ago. So what we have talked about, strategy number 3, is a training program, a well-implemented training of trainers program for the police and the security system who are handling people, so that any violation of women, even if it is just a violation of her space in a restaurant or in a place, is not taken lightly. Thank you. So number 4 is actually having a universal health program for women. So counseling women, talking to women, so that this rush of getting, dating somebody, getting to know somebody. There are people who have met their very good husbands in open places, in a restaurant, in a supermarket, in an open place. So we cannot tell people, don't go out and date. Because maybe in mosques, in public places. But also we have to be extremely careful, so that when women face violence because of wanting to date and to get a lifetime partner or a soulmate, when they are violated, they should be able to really get support, health support, wherever they go to. And as a Muslim community, I think we should also work very hard to actually get counseling, psychological support, and even refresher courses for our teachers, even in madrasas, in mosques, even for our sheikhs. And if it's possible, if funding can be available, and if embassies that are friendly to our Muslim community can be available, then we should be able to really modernize some of our teaching, so that a madrasa teacher or even a sheikh or even other religious leaders are able to be trained, so that they can offer psychological counseling, and they can also sensitize the people around the women fraternity. Because you see, it will reach even a point when women are very educated, highly, they even might not even be able to marry easily, because you look around and you fear, because you don't want to go to public places and all that. So that fear and whatever should actually be a strategy on its own, so that we have a health coverage, a therapy session, a psychological session, so that if somebody has found out that the people around her are not friendly or they are violent, they can actually date other people outside their areas, and they can get therapy and counseling from the sheikhs, from the different forums, like we have it's called the family section at Jamia. We should actually, as Muslim community, be strengthening those institutions to really help our ummah to be the role model, to be actually the place where other people can copy what is happening around here. The last but not the least is actually grassroots and institutional mobilizations. You cannot do something without actually just doing as individuals. We have to pass all this, whatever we are talking about, through an institution, through the forums. We have the county levels, We have the national government, we have the county levels, we have the sub-counties, we have the village committees. So we have to ensure that as Muslim community, our grassroots is working. So that even if it is not happening in our community, if it is happening in a neighbor, then you are able to really have the skills, the knowledge, the appraisal to do what is just for the other person, so that we live in a healthier, more leveled community. So for today, I will be more than happy to say that if we follow those strategies from the government to the community, to the national, to the religious organizations' involvement in this gender-based violence, we will be able to really actually overcome some of the challenges that we are facing today. We will have a healthier community where women and men will be able to interact and get lifelong partners and healthy partners, and have healthy homes and healthy children and a healthy generation. And more importantly, we will be able to have a government and a nation that has a just system, a system that is working for everybody else. And not earlier, it's easier said than done, as I said it earlier. If some of these procedures are followed, we will be able to have even polygamous families where our religion and our institutions accepts, where women will be feeling safer to be in an institution where you can be a second wife, a third wife, and a fourth wife, and your values and the values of the Prophet has been doing and the Quran has actually outlined will be lived better, and we lived in a better society. Actually, I know majority of the Kenyans really actually now respect a lot of Muslims because of the polygamous setup. They say it has really helped a lot of social and evil things that are happening around us. But actually, we need to do it in the correct way, and we need to do it in a better setup. It is easier said than done. We are women. Sometimes people have jealousy. Sometimes people have envy. Sometimes we don't follow the Quran teachings properly. Sometimes we even don't choose the right partners properly. Maybe let's start from there. We choose partners because of money. We choose partners because of the university education that they have. Somebody has education like you. You choose a partner because he comes from a big family or somebody where he's known. We choose partners because of 100 other reasons, A to Z reasons that we can all give, but we don't go to the first one that the Prophet and the Quran has mentioned to us. Let the deen of the person be the first thing that you follow before anything else. I urge you and I urge myself and I urge you again that our teachings and our Prophet has given us everything in black and white. Our modern westernization life is a life that the Prophet has already anticipated. Technology is something that the Muslim really adore, and they want to really reach them. But without actually having the fundamentals and the foundations, we are not able to use technology to actually reach out. What we are talking about, the toll number, what we are talking about, sensitizing the police officers and actually doing a TOT, training of trainers program within the police sections and the security areas, can only be done when we have a top-notch technology. And if we are modern Muslims who take advantage of education, the Prophet told us you can travel east, west, and north to gain education. If we can use that education and actually use our foundation as Muslims, we might be able to actually not only be in a violent position, but actually help other communities and make the world a better place for all of us. Jazakallah khairan wa antum bi khair. Until the next show, thank you very much, and may Allah guide you and guide me too.